Let's see. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. Of course, we got another amazing guest for you guys. I know you guys have seen him on the platform before. We got my man LC, and we're still talking about um, communities, right? You know what I'm saying? The impact that he's seen in California, where he's at, how it's been impacted by fentanyl, how it's been overrun by gangs, the homelessness situation, all of these different things. And he's a strong advocate. So, he's here to share his message with everyone. So before we get started, I just need to let you know this is for educational purposes only. If you do leave a comment, I would like to say, please be respectful of myself and my guests. If you are disrespectful, we will block you. We don't want to spread negativity or be disrespectful to anyone. Now, if you have any comments or anything like that, please put them in the comments section. Now, before we get started, I would like to say, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. And if you can benefit or know anyone who can benefit from the conversations that we have, please, by all means, share this with them. And as always, thank you for your support. LC, my man.
What's up, my man?
We're here again, man. Here we
Yeah,
since the last time that we talk on a regular basis too, man. So much has happened.
so much.
Has happened. So let's talk about it, man. We was just talking about the police and how the increase of the abuses going on, the brutality and things that are still happening. And you just lost someone else again, man. Right? Dude, these numbers are getting out of control, right? And then the fentanyl epidemic is still raging out of control, and it seems like no one's doing nothing about it.
No, they're not doing nothing about it at all. It's almost like they want it out there on the streets.
Right. Well, we know this from back in the 80s, 90s, man. They did the same thing with crack, right? Tried to destroy our communities, and then push a lot of stuff on the gangs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and nowadays, we got camera phones. So, what I'm saying? You're not getting away with too much out here, what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's the same thing that we have been trying to tell people for the longest time. What you're seeing on the news is not real.
It's not real at all. It's all
doing all of these things.
It's all falsified. It's a form of brainwashing to get them to fall under a false pretense of what's happening, instead of what really is happening. And then you get people like me that tell it the way it's supposed to, and you get accused of being a conspiracy theorist or crazy, you know what I mean? And people just need to take off their blinders, really, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is that we have several different types of people, right? We have those that are in the hood, and then when we try to say things, we're looked at as if we're crazy, as if we're making this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see these things with your own eyes, it's kind of hard to make those things up. It's kind of hard to dismiss the lives that have been taken, or the endless individuals, males and females, that are incarcerated wrongly. And it's hard to dismiss the way our communities look, right? And they go, "Oh, it's you guys. It's you guys. You guys are doing it." No, we're not. Yeah, there's a sense of survival, and then there's a sense of ignorance, and it's a very thin line as well, right? So we was talking about it before. Community reconstruction. Now let's talk about, before we get into that, let's talk about your advocacy work, and the message that you're putting out there, and the goals that you're looking to accomplish.
Well, the message I'm trying to get out there is, first off, humanity. You know what I mean? Trying to rebuild humanity and our communities back up. Our communities should not be to where our elderly people are afraid to ask for help or walk down the street. Women shouldn't be afraid to go to the store at night, walk to the store at night, or drive to the store at night. Kids shouldn't have to be afraid to go outside and play and be harassed by gangs that are, in my mind, are foul for numerous reasons, because they are not even actually out there doing what it was created for to begin with. the cause. They lost the cause on it. The cause was about our communities, and it's like so. It's a tough one, but at the same time, our law enforcement falls right in suit with all that too, because they're just right along destroying our communities at the same time.
That's very true. And you know, the crazy part about it is, right? Not all law enforcement is bad. There are some good people, good ones out there. It took me a long time to be able to say that. And I think when you come from a place where we're used to getting beat up, shot at, dropped off in nefarious neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying, with the hope of, hey, you're not coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to see the one side of it, and it's quick for us to judge law enforcement as a whole, right? And we now that we're older, we know that it's not always that's not always the case.
No, I mean, but it there's a fine line there too, because even the ones that aren't really bad now they're doing wrong, as long as they stay silent, they're just as guilty as the next. And
well, that's what I was going to touch on, you know, because
and it's not just I come from. You mean I'm still out here in the Bay, you know what I mean? But like even out in Colorado, like you mean, unfortunately, I did a little bit of time in the county jail stuff. Man, I got the utmost respect for every one of those COs there. I couldn't say that about here.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's not all cops are bad, and I do want to say that because I mean I'm one that I lost 12 family members to some form of law enforcement. So yeah, I got a bad thing with when it comes to cops. But at the same time, it's like if they were out there doing their job the way the job was created to be done, I got nothing but respect for them.
Yeah. See, and you touched on something, right? And when people look at us and things like that, they tend to fall back on a past, right? Um, an image of what the gangs looked like back in the 90s, and things like that. And I look, man, I understand. I'll be the first one to tell you I understand. You know, if I had not lived that lifestyle and I had to see the things on TV the way that I did, I would think that we were just violent individuals, right? You know what I'm saying? Crazy. They didn't care nothing about anything. Now, on the flip side, the reality of it is perceptions versus reality. The reality of it is being in the middle of it, growing up and understanding why we were doing things, right? And you know, the whole misconception, the myth about it, you know, the reality of it was we was formed after the Crips and the Pyros was formed after the Black Panthers. It was a set, it was a offshoot, right? And that's only because the Black Panthers were going to Washington, D.C. They were advocating out there, and young Raymond Washington, a little brief history and things like that, formed the Crips, right? And you know what I'm saying, this is what we're talking about right now, what we see and what we're pushing. And it's not the gangs, it's the meaning behind it, you know what I'm saying, to rebuild our communities, to clean it up, so our kids can have a safe place to grow up.
But it was back then. It was to clean it up because of law enforcement, and you know it's sad. Right. I was explaining to someone today. What's sad is because Black Panthers, you had your 7 commandments. Crips also had their 7 commandments. One of the main ones was if you're as a black male and you're pulled over, put your hands on the dash. Don't make no sudden movements. Don't get irate with them. And it's because otherwise you're most likely going to get shot. And that, I mean, they're teaching the kids as soon as they can talk. That's one of the first things they're taught. I mean, what kind of society is that? That you got to teach your kids at 3-4 years old this because of the people that are supposed to protect and service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so at what time is it going to be to where this country, all countries need some kind of law enforcement. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Otherwise it'd be chaos. But the law enforcement we have in the United States is power ridden, and they have they think they have more power than they do, but they get away with it because people aren't out here ain't knowing what to do. They're not up on their stuff. I mean, you got California Penal Code 1203.2 states that a police officer can arrest anybody on probation if the officer, thinks that they might commit a crime or they might be conspiring to commit a crime. So that means he can just pretty much snag anybody off that's on probation and put them in jail and put it 1203.2 Penal Code. And that is ridiculous. You're giving a cop the power to sit there and say, okay, because he thinks in his head, dude walking down the street might be thinking about committing a crime. He can put him in jail. I mean, do you know that the United States only leads in the world, is only top in people incarcerated?
Mm-hmm.
Everything else,
everywhere else is crazy, right?
Yeah, everything else we fall in like the 20th, like math, education, all that. We're it's like, I seen a thing about freedom. Almost all countries have freedom, and we really actually don't have freedom. You look at schools, hospitals, and jails; they all pretty much look the same. You look at a class. You look at a classroom. The way it's set up, how the desks are lined up, it's set up like an assembly line.
This is very true, and someone else said that too. As a matter of fact, several people said that. I don't want to misquote or get the name wrong, but these are very high influential people in society now, right? The motivational speakers, community leaders, et cetera, right? Bringing a whole lot of light that people never even once looked at. And and I think it's important. I have a colleague right now, and she's exposing, they just gave her son 28 years over a crime he never committed. And so she's been exposing this, right? And here's the crazy part. Here's the reality of it. He was with some other kids. Unfortunately, they didn't look like him. They wasn't black, right? Same thing. As he got 28 years, the other two, one of them got 2 years probation, and the other one ended up getting 6 months probation and a fine. But he was the only one that got 28 years out of all of that. And we sit up here trying to figure it out, like, how is this possible? If all three of them are together, and they go, well, he was the kingpin, but there's no proof. So again, now we've just lost another young black man to the system, being discriminated against, and watching our counterparts walk away unscathed. Right? And I say this because a lot of people will look at you and have that misunderstanding. They go, he looks white. Right? Now, I'm gonna tell you guys something, right? His family I know personally. And you guys wouldn't even believe it, right? But these things do happen, right? And it makes it easier for you to be able to maneuver around into certain groups and things like that, because they look at you and already think that sense of trust is there, right? And then when you begin to speak, they go, oh, whoa, like, yeah, my uncle is such and such, or my family this. I mean, like, the individuals that you have on your background right there are your family members. A lot of people wouldn't even look at that.
Yeah, the one on the right actually was murdered by a Roanoke Park police officer in January 28th of 2005. So coming up on his anniversary. And so, I've been struggling myself right now because of that. Yeah, I'm 51% African American. You never tell by looking at me. Blue eyes, everything.
Right. But that's the crazy part about it is, right? Perception is reality, and the person who's perceiving it. And so I think there's a lot to learn from that right there. And being someone, and we've known each other for some years, being someone, we come from similar backgrounds. Hell, your family, like I said, we have blood ties. We literally have blood ties, right? With some of the most important big up people and stuff like that. But now, Let's talk about your advocacy work.
So, because I've been kind of blacklisted here, from our last podcast. um,
These things happen.
but like I said before, when we talked about this before even really getting into it, I mean, I've always been somewhat into it, but full blown into it, that I knew I was going to have somewhat of a target on my back anyway. I'm just at that point of, they don't scare me no more. They used to when we were younger. You know what I mean? Some cops used to scare. I ain't scared of these guys no more, because it's like, man, somebody's got to stand up about it. But so I go out here. You know what I mean? I check on our homeless people, and that we have 3 encampments in Roanoke Park, which are shutting one down because the casino wants it shut down because they say it brings bad attention. But even those, they're ran by nonprofits out of Santa Clara, Home for Services and Destiny Moves. And they're actually, even those, they're contracted through police departments, and they're set up to where what they're doing is they're supposed to be putting these people in these little rooms, these set up rooms, and like a 6-month time period, and then getting them into housing. It's not happening. They're putting them in these rooms, and they're enabling them to pretty much stay in that homeless lifestyle, but having a room pretty much over their head. And when they show the videos, like, oh, this is what they're going to have, you look at it, it looks like that, like a studio, kid-sized studio apartment, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can put a twin bed and walk in between the wall and the twin bed, and that's all there is. I mean, so it's just like a little shed, and they're drug infested, they're all that, they're doing things. It just everything. It's just like things are getting worse and worse. Like, we thought the cops were bad when we were growing up, man, dude. Those are kindergartners compared to these. They've transformed into something. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I got a little sister who the other night was riding her bike, and 3 cops pulled up on her. She had lights on her bike and everything, and snatched her off her bike because she didn't want to. She didn't want to stop. She don't have to. She wasn't committing crimes, and that a lot of people don't realize that. Me, you man, do a cop, one cop, I'm not stopping. I got nothing to say to them. And that the only time that I approach a cop is when they're harassing somebody and know that my phone is on. I'm usually going live, and I'm going to go and I'm going to say something, because a lot of people won't either say something or don't know how to say something to where their rights and that. And so
Now, why do you, and I love that you just said that right there, because I think a lot of times when it comes down to it, people are afraid, right? People have been pretty much brutalized, right? You know what I'm saying? And they've been trained to go, if I say something, the consequences of my actions can put me in jail for the next 20 years, right? And and they do it in a way to where they go, we're going to do what we want and you're going to take it. To me, ever since, I mean, just like yourself, even when I was younger, cops here, they I wouldn't say they really scared me, but they did make me walk with a sense of caution. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they did make me walk with a sense of caution. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
we didn't
they tied me to the front of it.
Come on now, we didn't. There was no walking with caution. We ran.
Hey, but how they say, you can only handcuff me to the front of your car and beat me up so many times before before we learn that lesson. They go, nope, we're not doing that.
I have to show another day because he's running down the street, and I'm like, dude, from a cop, and I'm like, dude, where are you going? Where do you think you're going? Like, at least when we go, we were smart enough. Man, where's the backyard? Where's the fences?
Right? Look, I'd rather jump the backyard with the pit bull than to be running on the street, because for one, man, I remember one of my memories, it's not far from the worst one. but I do remember, being out there and, minding our own business. And now, granted, we was in the gangs, and, there was the cops used to mess with us all the time. And so, when we saw them, it was like, nope, we're not going to give it an opportunity. We ran, and my boy went one way and I went the other way. They decided to chase him. And, we're going, hey, we'll get together somewhere, somewhere down the line and things like that, and this, that, another. And I tell you, it wasn't 30 seconds later, I heard 3 shots. And then, what I'm saying? I'm thinking to myself, like, are they still chasing me? Because I'm not looking back. I got, my blinders are on. I'm looking forward. I found out 3 hours later, they shot him twice in his back.
And tried saying it again, huh?
Yeah, they killed him. They executed him for running. And then when we read the paper, this is all in the paper too. When we read the paper, they tried to say that he had a gun. Mm-hmm. And the crazy part about it is, those cops got away with it
every time.
And, and everybody's like, like, we can't even say anything. We can't even defend ourselves. We can't even. We just got to sit up here and get murdered. Mm-hmm. For what the cover cop said. And I remember a cop told me one time. He goes, "Who you think they're gonna believe, me or you? I'm a cop, you're a gangbanger, a well-known gangbanger too." And I realized right then and there that they were going to kill us. They were going to kill us off one by one. If not, they were going to set us up to a point to where the gang wars was going to get out of control and have us kill off each other. That's not a life for anyone, man. When you can't go home, when you can't come out and sit on your own porch without fear, kids can't go play at the playground without wondering, if they're going to be able to get home. Parents can't even send their kids out. And this goes to something where we see today, kids are in the house all the time, right? And we complain, don't get me wrong, we complain that the kids are in the house all the time. On the other end of it, I look at it and go, it's our job to keep them safe. Mm-hmm. So if this is the place that they can stay safe, we're going to do that. And so
parents actually, and I agree with you about the same house, but lately what I've been thinking is, man, actually parents should cherish every second their kids are in the house, because that's the only time they're ever going to get to actually raise them kids. Because other than that, the schools are raising them, and it's school is supposed to be to help build a kid's getting prepared for the future. Man, what they're doing with schools it's set up to make factory workers.
Right. Well, we already know that, right? You know what I'm saying? Or do we look at the pipeline from the schools to the prison system, right? There's not too many people that are going through the schools right now that are actually going to graduate. And if they do, they're going to graduate in jail with a GED. That's just the sad reality of it.
27%. 27% of the kids graduate high school in America. 63% of the male population of prison are African American. Mm-hmm. I mean, Coach Carter. Remember the movie Coach Carter?
Yeah, I do.
That was based on a true story, and that was because what was it? 2%. Back then, 2% of kids, because they're all black, were going to graduate high school. The rest were going to be in prison.
Prison or dead, right? That's I mean. And the crazy part about it is that we talk about it, but it's the reality of it. Mm-hmm. It's a harsh reality that most people don't want to acknowledge. I get it. Look, man, I get it too. Unfortunately, in this life, when they see individuals like us in our 40s, things like that, people don't understand what it took for us to get here, right? They don't understand that we had to survive. And I used to hear people all the time, "Oh man, it couldn't have been that bad." Man, look at the statistics from our generation. Look at the statistics from our generation of the individuals who didn't make it.
I got
right?
200.
You know what I'm saying?
I took
It's like
200
this
families.
individual AK just put this up on the screen, you know, and I do want to give a previous precaution. Be respectful. If you have legitimate questions and things like that, please put them in the comment section. We'd be happy to answer those questions. But please be respectful of the conversation and the guests and myself. And that's the only thing I ask, you know. And like I said, this is for far as your comment, y'all ready for World War III? Well, you know,
Hey, let me.
is that a legitimate question? Is that a legitimate? I mean, I'm curious about that. Is that a legitimate question?
Hey, wait, no, actually, I want to
everybody on Instagram. If y'all tuning in, ask me if that, you know, please answer that. That's
actually,
a legitimate question.
Wait,
you know.
I got the answer for that. So World War III. Tell them that they might want to worry about a civil war first, right? Because we're gonna end up probably having a civil war before we ever have World War III. But
so?
it is. But yeah, I know so. And people, if they want to be ignorant, like we keep getting on the ignorant thing, first of all, there is no color, there ain't no races. There's one race. That's a human race. So people need to get that in their mind first. Human race, and everybody should know is I can't think of her name. I wish I could quote her name. Is a white lady who's been doing reels and that on Facebook lately, and she tells it how it is. Do you know that all you people in the world, you know, you all come from Africa?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, dude, she brought some things to the light, didn't she?
She gaming it up.
Well, you know, and it was crazy because I listened to a whole seminar that she did. She was at a school and she was talking about it, right? And if you guys know who this is, please put her name in the comments and things like that. But she's an older lady, and I just remember a quote or something that she had said. She goes, you know, when you think about the world and the way that it is, so you know, we can talk about World War III and things like that, but there's so many other variables that we have to put into play. You know, the sun, you know, and how everything else is going. You know, so very, very intelligent lady, though. Very intelligent lady.
And most of us, we're going to see what you see on TV anyway. That's the only way you're going to see that war anyway, because it's not going to happen here in America. Even if we go to World War II, it ain't going to happen. Now I believe in our lifetime we're going to see a reenactment of the movie Red Dawn, which you happen to be in the state where that's based out of, because, and what people don't know is Colorado is the least built on state in the United States. It's the only place that it actually makes sense where it happened. But we lost Vietnam because of one reason. They hit the mountains, right? As they hit the mountains, it was a wrap. Because so many hiding places. What's on both sides of Colorado? Mountains.
Well, that's true. And you know, that's interesting that you said that, because I was just watching a documentary not too long ago on Vietnam, and pretty much along the same lines. You know, they were like, they hit the mountains and they found underground tunnels that led from one place to another, right? And I think that's where it comes down to it. Now, as far as something happening on U.S. soil, I have mixed feelings about it, and the reason being, and please, people, chime in if you want to. But the border patrol, right? The border security, and all of these individuals, I, in a lot of ways, believe that there are already people in place here.
Oh yeah, they talk about that with China.
Right. There's already people in place here. So if there is, you know, and then I look at the immigrant migration into cities like, I mean, when you think about the city of Chicago, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm watching these individuals go into Chicago and some of the worst neighborhoods, and I'm thinking to myself, this ain't gonna last long, right? But then I'm seeing the other side of it. These so-called gangsters, these killers, et cetera, that work so hard to keep people that look like them out of those neighborhoods and hurting, you know what I'm saying, hurting innocent people and etc. Now you got individuals that are coming in, deliberately destroying their city, and they're not doing anything. So I'm thinking to myself, right, you know what I'm saying, from education, are we preconditioned to hate each other? I mean, and the reason why I say that, right? Because I was talking with someone.
I don't think precondition. It's definitely part of the plan, and the reason is because the way our United States government is comprised of anyway. I mean, if you go back, the way they were formed, beginning with anyway, how they took the land, right, was a foul way of doing it, and then that, and so everybody knows too, because I hate walking in rooms and hearing people talk about, oh, presidential votes. Man, people, that vote does not matter. Your vote's never mattered. If you think you put somebody in because you voted, you might want you need to start looking at your judicial people for votes. And why is it that the president's supposedly the top dog, right? But he's the only one he's the only one that can only serve 4 years and has to be supposedly revoted in, right? But Congress, who has to approve everything, every bill, every veto that the president wants, they never voted that. They don't. There's no term on them. Same with senators.
It's very true, because we do have people that's been in there for quite some time, which we call lifers.
Yeah, because and they're set in there. They're set in there because they're already tuned in to what the powers to be want, and they're the ones that are actually in control of our country. The United States president can only do one thing, and that's in reality without Congress having to prove it, and that's declare war.
That's very true. Now, let's talk about how what's going on in the world is affecting community and affecting our communities from what we see, right? And I want to touch on this again, the fentanyl epidemic, man. You know what I'm saying? There's heroin out there now that's laced with fentanyl. I just found out too, there's a new style that's coming in, because I always hear the term smoking blues, et cetera, right? And just recently they found they busted a couple shipments of these look like heart-shaped candies. They're not blue, they're pink now.
Right? Well, they've had them blue and pink, right? They've had which are fentanyl pills, blue and pink, and I think there's a red one too. But the pills are getting to be more toned to easily get in hands that people before, if I'm correct, they were using mainly taking off patches. You know what I mean? Fentanyl patches.
Right.
Just so anybody knows, every bag that changed hands, 90% of the time is going to kill somebody. So if you hand somebody a bag, sell somebody a bag of fentanyl, don't do them a favor. Don't call them your friend. Don't tell them that you care about them, because that means there's only a 10% chance they're going to live. And if that's how much you care about somebody's life, man, dude, that's sad.
Now, wow, man, I'm blown away just by the numbers of that, right? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Because you're a drug dealer. When did it become the norm to kill your clients? I'm laughing because of the humor, but the seriousness of it is that, is this just a different caliber of drug dealer that we're dealing with?
Nah, the drug dealers aren't worried about the ones dying, because fentanyl is so addictive and so powerful, right? That they're getting more. For every person that dies, they're probably getting 3 or 4 more clients.
But
So,
eventually, you're going to run out of clients.
well, no, because eventually the people that put it, and I'm gonna say it, law enforcement, our government that put it on the streets, doctors that put it on the streets, sooner or later they're gonna pull it off streets. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
The 80s, they flooded LA with cocaine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what the brothers do? They say, "Oh, wait. Hey, we put this in some water on the stove with some baking soda. Hey, we can turn this into double, triple what we have and make some money of it." Once that happened, right? What happened? It died out. One, because it didn't kill off the people like they wanted to, and two is they weren't getting the money profit off it.
Okay. Now, I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Because now you're talking about my era, man. You know what I'm saying? The crack generation, right? You know what I'm saying? My thing is, who was the bright person that came up and said, hey, let's take some cocaine, throw some baking soda in it, and rock it up? Where did this recipe comes from? Because, I mean, we got some smart dudes in the hood. But I don't think anybody was thinking about crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? They was thinking about coke. So who was the scientist? Now, this is what I want people to understand. When you're in the hood like that, you're not thinking about how to cook coke up. You know what I'm saying? It's very simple. You take it, you know, you do whatever you do with it. No one's thinking about, you know, rocking it up and things like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's look at the other side. Who was the person who gave that recipe out?
So my understanding, right, and a lot of people don't realize this. So the person that came up with crack was the same ones cooking your crank.
Mm.
It was bikers that gamed up, but
Was it
like
really?
so they have the show Snowfall, and they still portray it as a black male who did it. But come on now, like you said, they weren't out there like that.
No.
You mean and from my understanding, and I could be wrong, but from my understanding, it was bikers, and it was pretty much like, hey, look, you want to make some money, because at the time, even the bikers, they were all the crank shirt bikers, dude, they were all about fuck these cops and all that too. I mean,
right.
But I mean, like, I'm still stuck on that World War III thing. So hey, because here's the thing, right? And I've been trying to get this to a lot of people's mind. So we produce from just Colorado, Texas, and Alaska. As long as we're drilling and pumping oil, we produce enough oil at those 3 states to supply the world. Every year we can supply the world for 3 years, right? Just out of 3 states in the United States. But they put Biden in office, and all of a sudden, what happened? We no longer are allowed to pump oil or drill for oil. We're buying oil from Saudi Arabia, who gets their oil from Russia, right? 70% of the oil that we're buying, we're shipping over to Ukraine for supplies Ukraine against their war with Russia, which, no offense to Ukraine people, man, they're human beings, but that's none of our business. That's the problem with our government. They got to be in everything, got to have their nose in everything, right? And for people to know, if you really pay attention, stop watching the news. I'll break it down for you right now. They're waiting because we keep dumping supplies. Russia's just sitting there patiently waiting till they think that we deplete their supplies enough. They're going to fully go into Ukraine, right? What are we going to have to do? We put so much supplies with it. We're going to have to go to war, right? What people ain't realizing though, is China 2 weeks ago sent 2 million troops down to the borders of Taiwan. Taiwan is the only country that we rely on for any kind of resources, and that's our computer chips. So
you think that this could
so
turn into
what's going to happen is once Russia invades Ukraine and we go into Russia, China's going to attack Taiwan, which is going to separate us, right?
Think so?
Yeah. It's going to split us up, right? And so that's when they think they're going to have the upper hand. That's when I talked about the Red Dawn, right? Mm-hmm. So still, Colorado is the only place you're going to be able to drop troops. right? Guaranteed. It's the least built on state. It's so open, right? But here's what people don't realize.
Okay.
And here's what people don't realize. Colorado is a carry state. If you're over 18 years old and you're not known by cops, even almost everybody has a firearm.
And that's what I was going to hit on right there, right? You know, because
then you're surrounded by mountains, right?
There's a lot of people out here with firearms.
But then, like I said,
right? You know what I'm saying?
You're surrounded by mountains. But what's on the other side of those mountains? You got Arkansas right here, right? Which is the leading state for gangs. Even though they originated out of L.A., you do not want to go in Little Rock, Arkansas, and think you're a gangbanger.
Well, and okay, well now when you say it like there, you have to understand too. You know, like on one side you got Arkansas, right? You know what I'm saying? You got Little Rock gangs. You got Gary, Indiana gangs. You got, I mean, and don't get me wrong, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like Colorado got some G's out here too.
You got roar, but then even if you go north, Montana is the leading state for recruiting for military, right? And they have a whole bunch of militia groups up there. You're not gonna come in. It don't matter. It don't matter if every single one of our soldiers is not in this country and fighting a war. It don't matter if you drop troops in here. People need to realize that there's.
And that's what I was trying to hit on too, right? You know what I'm saying? Like saying that, you know, this would be a perfect place to drop people. I mean, I'm kind of mixed on that, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of mixed on it because I'm like, I don't know, man. You know, like because for one, here's something that a lot of people don't think about, right? You know what I'm saying? The elevation that we're at. You know what I'm saying? If a person is not used to that sort of elevation, especially, you know, for the troops who are trained out here, you know what I'm saying, et cetera, they're used to the elevation, and it takes time to do that, right? Now you can come in, and depending on when you get dropped at, you still, you know, if you get dropped in too quick, it's going to do something to you. You know what I'm saying? If you're not used to the elevation, you begin to do all kinds of strenuous activity. That's going to do something to you. Like your body has to activate to the elevation around here. And I think that right there could be a huge disadvantage as well.
Not only that, but has people forgotten what happens in this country whenever there's any kind of tragedy? We unite.
Well, and that's, you know what, I got it. I was talking to someone else about that too. And the gentleman told me, he goes, you know, if something was to ever happen here, I think that they're just tear apart the United States because we're having a hard time getting past a lot of things, you know, differences, races, et cetera, you know, our own religious beliefs and this, that, and another. And he goes, and the United States are divided. And I said the same thing that you said. I said, you know, I understand what you're saying, but if the one thing that has always stood out to me from the time that I've been alive on this world, I've seen a lot of things that's crazy. But the one thing that's always stood out, even during 9/11 and all of these different things, you know, 9/11 is a great example. But let's go back. Hold on. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back in the 80s though, right? You know what I'm saying? When Ronald Reagan was in office and we was under threat of nuclear war like almost every week, right? People got tired. It was like, come and do it, right? You know what I'm saying? That's, as a matter of fact, that's when We Are the World came out, you know, things like that. You know, people were starting to unite across the board, you know what I'm saying? It didn't matter the nationality and things like that. There was an imminent threat. And so I told him, I said, you know, I look at it the same way now. You know, like if something tragically was to happen in the United States, in the precipice, I think that's when you're going to see individuals put apart their differences, set them apart, to come together to fight a common, fight the same enemy, right? And once that happens, whomever we go up against is going to have their hands full.
Oh yeah, it comes down to, man, it's not even really uniting. Really, it's territorial. We are territorial people. When
Well,
it comes to Americans, we are territorial. That we bred that way, territory. But we just had a general, and I can't think of his name, but he put out a news release, right, where he's saying that and he named almost every country, saying how they're terrorists watching us, right? And he sat there and straight up said, he's like, we are toned as spying machines. He's like, we don't want war, but we can do war. And he's like, and he straight up said it. He's like, you don't want to mess with the United States. He's like, because I could promise you one thing. He's like, somebody else will be raising your sons and daughters.
I seen that one. I seen that one.
And I'm telling you, when you listen to that dude, there's no stutter, there's no hesitation, and that's as Americans, that's what a lot of people don't. I mean, even a lot of Americans don't understand that. When it comes down to it, dude, we're not gonna play. And then, like I said, and we ex gangbangers, dude, come on, man, we're gonna let somebody come up and come on, hell no. You got twist it.
Now, see, this is where I have to push back on, man. This is where I'm having my problems. Because when we talk about, I mean, we're both ex gangbangers, right? And things have changed. When I see what's going on in the world today, and I see how they're allowing what's going on to be going on, I have to say, man, I have my doubts. I have my doubts about the gangs now, and and nothing against those guys that are out there holding it down and this and another. I just say, hey, find something different to do, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not working. But I'm watching what they're allowing to become of their communities, and it goes back to what I said earlier. So you're going to put all that time and effort and bullets into someone that looks like you to keep them out of your communities and things like that. But then you have all of these other individuals that have just been coming over here, flooding into your communities, and you're not doing anything to stop it, but yet they're destroying everything that you have, that you already was destroying in the first place. So it goes back to, I have to ask them, are you afraid of what's going to happen? Or is it because they don't look like you, they get a pass in your community? So, and if that's the case, then we have a bigger problem than what we're looking at, right? You know what I'm saying? Because not only are we being discriminated against to those who do not look like us, but now we also being discriminated against those who look like us. And the reason why I say that is because if that is the case, then when are we going to stop lying to each other? When are we going to stop fighting for rights and, all of these different things? We might as well throw our hands up in the air, because not only do we have everything else that we got to fight, but we got to fight each other. Because I can say, honestly, every time I've ever gotten into something, every time I've been shot at, every time I've been shot, every time I've been almost ran over, stabbed, etc., jumped and this, that, another, it was always people that look like me, which poses now the problem that we face nowadays, where we're pushing back and going, hey, no more. We need to do better for our communities. Are we causing our own grief?
I think
I'm starting to feel that we are.
Well, it depends on what generation you're talking about. Generations you're talking
Well,
about.
I'm looking at it's the compilation of generations, because I'm a 70s baby. I started when I got into the gangs, I was already in the 90s, right? You know what I'm saying? Up until the early 2000s, et cetera. Well, a little bit longer than that, but 2000s, et cetera, right? You know what I'm saying?
We're only like not even a month apart age-wise, me and you. Right.
Because you July, I'm August.
Yeah, you look at our generation, right? What are most of our generation doing that aren't gangbanging no more, that were gangbangers, that are alive, right?
Well, they're like us. We're old.
If they're not in prison, they either have families, right, with jobs, and they want to see better for their communities, because that's what it was about, right? So
exactly.
But then you got these younger generations. Part of the younger generations part of how they are is our fault. If we really want to get technical about it, because
now look, I'm all for accountability.
We did not game them up. That's how we say it anyway. Game up. We didn't educate them the way our elders educated us.
Very true. Look, I'm all about accountability, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of it came from when you see the things that we have had to go through, the survival rate. We've seen people die. We've seen a lot of people get incarcerated. People that's still doing 20, 30 some years over stupid ass crimes. Right? And then marijuana, right? You know what I'm saying? I got a boy right now doing 65 years on marijuana. He just got that 23.
43% of prison population are in on marijuana charges.
Right. Something that's totally illegal now.
That's ridiculous.
Now, you know what I'm saying? But now here's the thing. Like, yes, I do understand we didn't game up the younger generation. We want it better for them, right? You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't want our kids to grow up in the streets the way that we did. We didn't want them to have to go through the things that we did. But at some point, I think we lost track, or we lost our center point of view about how we're supposed to raise them in a world, which in turn created a lot of entitlement, right? A lot of the generation, whether the newer and younger generations that are coming out, don't have the basic skills that is needed to live in the world without our parents. And I think in a way, we are to blame for it, because we stopped preparing the kids to live in a world without us, and with the misconception that we was going to be around forever, right? And, so looking at that, I have to go, no, we have to do better, right? So now it goes back to, we got the fentanyl in our neighborhoods. We got, the new stuff that's out, Trank, right? You know what I'm saying? And then I just found out they got a new designer drugs that's mixed with human bones, right? You know what I'm saying? And then we look at the homelessness population, right? And everybody's all in uproar going, what about us? What about us? And this, that, and another, right? And then in the same sense, I'm hearing people complain about food stamps. I'm hearing people, complain about the rising inflation with our housing development. And then we see more and more encampments getting pushed up, Skid Row to be example, you know what I'm saying? And we have other communities out there just like that, right? And so now we have to look at the neighborhoods, our communities, our kids, and what's going on in the world, and how it's affecting our children nowadays, because the children nowadays, are affected of what's going on over in China and Ukraine and France and Iran with the wars and everything else over there. I guess in a way,
I don't think they are. Not here. I
try to understand it. Well, I've had many conversations with some of the youth out here, right?
Yes,
and I listen to what they say.
It's because the reason why it does affect them, right? Is because of media, right? Because because all the media and all that, and watching the news and all that, and it's being forced into, and they're talking about it at schools. It's being forced into their minds, and that to where that's all they're hearing, all that, and that's why it's affecting them. But the cold reality, right, is really the only thing that affects us that should affect us anyway is what's happening here in our own homeland.
Right. And that's what I was trying to get at right there, right? Because I totally agree. We have enough things going on over here, and it's pretty obvious now that our government don't care nothing about us.
Oh, never have.
They never have. It's just something that we've been trying to tell people for the longest time.
Michael Jackson and Tupac both told us about that.
Yeah, they don't care nothing about us, right? And for those who keep thinking that they do, I mean, you can have your own opinion about it. You know what I'm saying? And can't nobody be mad at you. Everybody has their own opinion, just like how we have our own opinions about what's going on and things like that. It's okay to disagree with someone and not be upset about it, and things like that. It makes the world go around because, this is where we learn from each other, and learn how to be better human beings moving forward. But just my opinion, take care of home first. Take care of here first. Take care of your people here first. Or here's the thing, and I'm a firm believer in this. Just maybe, we get rid of the government and kind of be single for a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe data president, potential president here and there. You know what I'm saying? Just date them on a trial run. You know what I'm saying? See how they act. Something like that. I know it sounds funny and everything, but I'm dead serious. Look, let's do this thing on a trial run. Let's not jump the gun and put anybody on in office. Let's be single for a little bit. Let's work on rebuilding us. Getting us to a healthy place. Because the one thing that really, really gets to me nowadays is this whole mental health epidemic, and the combination and the landslide that I see, right? You know what I'm saying? How everything kind of trickles into everything else. Being a huge male advocate when it comes down to healing and things like that, I realized that, we still got a long ways to go, but damn it, I'm saying we're working at it. And it's just every time we turn around, it seems as if we're getting something else dumped in our lap that really has nothing to do with us. But yet we're such a caring nation that we take it on. And almost each and every individual in the United States make it a personal journey to make a difference in other countries' lives. Those countries ain't never lift a finger for us.
No, never. We're the only country that actually pretty much what they say educate. It's not really educate, are trained to be in the workforce.
Right.
And so and we're a workforce not for our country, though. That's what people don't understand. And really, and when we're trained to be workforce, we're technically slaves. We're all, anybody out there working, we're slave to the United States government that is a workforce to take and deal with other countries. That's all it is about. It's not about our own country, and that's what people don't realize. And if you want to question that, look at how many of our United States troops that have come home from wars that are homeless, that have PTSD and get no care. That's what our government does for you Americans that fight for our country and for our people. Is you get pretty much flushed down the toilet, and sooner or later, right? It's gonna come down to is you're gonna have it. You're gonna get to a point to where, and I'm pushing for it. You're gonna have another walk, right? Martin Luther King had 5 million people behind him. A lot of people didn't realize 3.7 of those were white. That's why they got scared of Martin, because he attracted too many white people. And when you get blacks and whites start uniting like that, better pull your britches up.
Well, and I think that's like when we think about it, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. We are of the human race, because when it comes down to it, now with all of these other things coming up, UFOs, everything, what I'm saying?
We haven't been the only living creatures. I mean, come on.
Well, we already know that, right? What I'm saying? But for those individuals that, may not believe in it, I want to respect them as well, right?
Humans are not the only
UFOs.
Yeah, humans are not the only ones walking on this planet.
Right, what I'm saying? But that goes into something that we can definitely dive into. Since the beginning of time, technology that we have has been recirculated back around. It's not the first time this technology has been here. And what I mean by that, people don't understand that the cell phone, the GPS, things like that was around in the 80s before it became a very popular thing. If you don't believe me, go check out RoboCop, the original RoboCop, right? You know what I'm saying?
Pyramids.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, hold on. This is we're gonna get into that, right? You know what I'm saying? But you know, if you really think that I'm joking about this, your GPS, the original model of the GPS, well, not the original, because if you want to go to the original, you would have to go all the way back to where they use stars to navigate, and they actually have a GPS system set up, right? You know what I'm saying? That's bigger than anything that we've ever known or seen. And people are like, how did they do this? How did they navigate and all of these different things? Well, they're a lot smarter than us. But the GPS that we have on our phones and things like that, they've been around for quite some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look at earphones, you know what I'm saying? And people are like, oh man, the earphones and this, that, another. Because remember back in the day, you know what I'm saying, that we had the earphones that had the cord to them. Now, let me ask you a question. If we got the earphones that had the cord to them, but we're looking at movies like Demolition Man, we're looking at movies like Terminator, we're looking at movies like and I may be showing my age on this one, but you remember Blue Thunder with the helicopter, Knight Rider. You know what I'm saying? All of these different things. I'm going old school on them. I'm going old school. I got to do it, man.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Knight Rider. Hey, wait, Knight Rider, right? Check this, right? Elon Musk, Tesla, and Knight Rider are comprised of the same build, just a different type of vehicle.
Yeah, you know what? I think I may have to push back on it when the car starts talking to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to have a conversation with my car. I just need to be able to put the key in and go on about my business, right? You know
I'm different. You, I'm gonna chop it up with him because you probably have.
I'm not trying to chop it up with him.
Hey, you might have a better conversation than you do with most of these people out here.
Hold on, look, check it out. I didn't already got into it with Alexa.
Wait, you brought up Alexa. You brought up Alexa. So check this out, right? So a guy posted not too long ago. He asked Alexa, when was World War III happen, right?
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to happen this year.
Hey, peep this. Yeah, March of this year. Yeah. Alexa straight up said March, and Alexa breaks it down, right? Now, so what is? I mean, for people that don't know, so Alexa is an AI system, right? Which you're trying to literally actually make to where humans are second to AI, really, right? So what it is trying to say is, so someone programmed Alexa to say that, right? So that means who is, and people want to say World War III. So here's another thing: we have something on this planet called Economic Trade Organization, right? If you look at the founding fathers of the Economic Trade Organization, you had North Korea's president, Putin, China's president, Biden, Reagan, Bush, all these top heads and of all the other countries who comprise of the economic trade. So everybody's been in cahoots since 70s, 60s. And a lot
longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I say that, if you go, okay, so now a little bit of brief history. If you go back to the early 1800s, right, before any of this ever started, and you know, for those who want to go and do this history lesson and things like that, more than likely, you know, please go in, fact check me. You know, I'm always down to learn. But from what I've seen and from what I've read, because not everything, you know, you can find on Google. Google is the internet is a great place to have information at your hands. But I'm an old school type of guy. I love to read, you know, and I'm careful about what the information I put into my mind because I know there's some information. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. There's information out there that's been falsified, rewritten, you know what I'm saying, and regurgitated and put back into society in a different way. right? You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to navigate through all of that mess. You know, the early 1800s. Here's where it gets. Here's where I tell people, there's a lot of foreigners in this land, and it's not the people that you think it is, right? You know what I'm saying? And people go, "What do you mean?" I go, "You do realize the first people that was on this land." And people may argue with me, "Oh no, man, this, that, another." It's been documented. Mm-hmm. It's been documented. See, which you may read something that says something totally different. And you know what I'm saying? But you got to look at the person that's writing. When did they write this? Right? You know what I'm saying? And then you look at that and go, "Oh wow, this was put out in 1932." But they're talking about something from the 1800s. So this person wasn't alive in the 1800s. So where did he get this information from? So let's go back a little bit further. There's documents. There's things that are written, journals, et cetera, that's been there since the 1800s. In that time, where they talk about how communities was destroyed, the wealth factor, the visitors that came over, the slaughter that happened, the trade and the lies that was told during the trade, and the history that was rewritten. I'm gonna let everybody put that stuff together. You go ahead and do your own research on that. I'm not going to put myself in a situation to where it causes a useless debate. I say, hey, go do your research, and you know, and just educate yourself on the history of who we are. And secondly, where the United States really formed from. That's another one that no one wants to talk about, right? They don't understand that the United States is a breakoff. It's a breakoff from another continent.
That the powers that be that formed the United States government got pretty much ran out of.
Well,
like a lot of people don't know, Hillary Clinton comes from a family who was at war since the 1600s with the Rockefellers, the Moores, who was our founding fathers of the United States government. And that, so, and people know it's like, I don't really like, a lot of times I don't like talking politics. I'll tell you this.
Me neither. I kind of steer away from it.
But I will say this: if it was to where we did have a say on who was president in my lifetime, put Hillary in office.
You know, I may have to push back on that one too, because Hillary's a beast, dude.
Hillary's a beast. Hey,
she's a beast. Like, people fear her for a reason. People don't really understand. People fear Hillary for a reason, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, don't get me wrong. Look, I love a strong woman. I do. I love a strong woman that's willing to stand up and say, no more your bull crap, right? You know what I'm saying? And I love it when they can get themselves in a position to actually do what's right. Things like that. Now, I say that to say this. Hillary should scare some people. If she's ever put in office, there's some people out there that need to be deadly afraid of that woman.
She don't have to be in office. They should be scared, period.
No, let's just say, if that woman ever got into office, man, like there's some people out there that might want to go ahead and step down, go and walk their little path, go and get you some pancakes, eggs, and a few slices of bacon, and you know what I'm saying, and a cup of coffee, and sit back and just shut.
Has anybody not realized that she so far is one of the only people that's gone up against this United States government full force and has not been killed? And still alive?
Well, there's a reason for that, right? Because everybody else that came up against this woman has ended up dead somewhere, right?
That's what I'm saying.
I digress. I'm not going to look. Hillary, if you're listening, I'm not saying nothing against you.
Hillary, I got mad respect if you're listening, Hillary. Hey, keep kicking ass.
I'm just a nobody around here, so I ain't gonna speak up on nothing that I know nothing about. Because I hate to have to end up on the news or something like that. If people like, what happened to Tony, right? You know what I'm saying? And then have some crazy story. Like, yeah, he got bit up by like 6 pit bulls, got jumped by 3 raccoons, hit by a car, stabbed by a midget or a little person. I did not.
While he was asleep in his bed.
Well, I was sleeping in my bed, right? You know what I'm saying? And I drugged myself out, shot myself in the back of the head 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And climbed up a tree and hugged myself. I'm sorry. No, I'm not trying to be a part of that story. No, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Because I've read some of the stories about how some of these people have died. And I had to sit back and go, so you shot yourself in the back of the head. And then you ran out into traffic and got hit by the SUV, rolled over the SUV, and got attacked by the Rottweiler? Like what happened here? Like who put this together? And I'm sorry, when society can read a story like that, like, man, I can't believe all of that happened.
And they believe it.
You believe that? I'm not putting myself in a situation to even be a part of this crazy story. You know what I'm saying? Whoever wrote this nursery rhyme, y'all could keep that. Y'all can keep that nursery rhyme, okay? Because it sounds a lot like what's that one nursery rhyme that people keep thinking is a nursery rhyme, but it's really a horror story? Hansel and Gretel. Yes. Hansel and Gretel. I'm not trying to be a part of any of that. You won't write about me in the history books like he died in a stupid way. Right? Even people that know me, man, you hear what happened to No, we're not doing none of that.
or the one that he died of electricity in a house that had no power.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? People are like, where you get the power from? I don't know. Put 2 and 2 together, people. I need some help here, all right? You know, but yeah, man, I'm not trying to be part of that conversation, man. That's ridiculous in its own self. That's definitely ridiculous in its own self. Oh my God. Hey, brother, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. And you know what I'm saying? Like, as always, it's always fun to talk to you. We got to do it again. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna touch on some more issues. Tell people how to find you, and share a little bit about your message that you're trying to get out there, and you know what I'm saying, what you're trying to do with your organization.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook under Lincoln Kyle Kincade. That's my regular profile, or you can find me under a couple groups: Link Living, Street Advocate, Power to the People, Stop the Hate Movement, all on Facebook. A Better Way of Living. I'll run all 4 of those groups. I also am admin to Black Panther Education on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but I don't use it really. I pretty much stick to Facebook for my my platform, and that you can also email me at Community Revolution and Progress. Progress has 2 E's in it at gmail.com, or Community Resurrection at gmail.com, or San Jose Street Soldier at gmail.com. So like I said, I'm doing as much as I can with what I have out here. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've been kind of pretty much blacklisted in every way almost possible. I find it funny though, you know what I mean? Because I was ready for it. So
yeah, I'm
out here. I check up on the homeless people. I at every chance I get, I'm right there and speaking up for them, because unfortunately law enforcement here are doing things that are so far fetched to these homeless people, and the homeless people don't know that their rights are being violated.
Right.
And so every chance I get, I'm right there. I mean, cops have, probably almost frown every time they see me, like, oh man, dude, this dude's gonna we're gonna have to hear something. Yeah, they're gonna have to hear something. But I'm respectful about it. That I will always be. I'm respectful. I live by by 3 things: love, loyalty, and respect. Respect is a big thing. My grandpa raised me that you respect. But at the same time, respect can be lost too. If you don't respect me, I'm not going to respect you.
Right.
But I do value everybody at face value from the minute I meet them. I'm not judgmental. I'm out here spreading as much kindness as I can, trying to bring back humanity as much as I can. I help out as many people as I can. I mean, we talked about homelessness. I'm blessed to have a partner, you know what I mean, I've known for 40 years that let me up on his couch, you know what I mean? Because as I said before, my breakup and back in November last year kind of threw me for a loop.
Right.
And now with them blacklisting me, it's like, but again, they can't hold me.
One more step in the right direction, because if you're not getting any sort of resistance, you're not doing it right. That's
Yeah, exactly. And what they don't realize is, like, I posted on Facebook. Actually, I think I'm wearing it still. It says it right here. What they don't realize is, no matter what, I'm gonna win. Because I'm not the one that's gonna quit.
Well, you got to keep spreading the word out there. We're going to keep bringing awareness out there to them, man. And we're going to see if we can't get these communities turned back around.
Yeah. And
quick update for everyone. We will be starting the Healing Through Love tour coming up real soon. And, I'm going to be touring the United States. We're coming to a city and a state near you. We're going to be doing youth advocacy. We are traveling with wrestling superstars, actors, actresses, musicians, and we're going to be doing fundraising events, and everything that we make from those fundraising events, we're giving back to the youth organizations to help rebuild our Boys and Girls Clubs, to help bring more programs and create a safe space for children to go out and be outside and be around friends, in a safe environment, but also to teach them necessary skills, like, when the last time that you went out and knew how to take something from your environment and know how to fish with it, or know how to build a bow and arrow, how to start a fire, basic little things like that honestly we did when I was a kid, right? You know what I'm saying? We had a blast. Maybe we can start rebuilding bike trails where kids can go and drive clear across town and still hang out and things like that. But that's part of what we're doing. And also, just to give you guys a heads up, we do have a hybrid conference coming up. I will not be hosting this conference this year, the Global Grief Conference. My colleagues will be hosting it, so you guys keep your eyes out for that. Also, big shout out to the Mocha Widow. Big shout out to Miss Liz Tea Time. We got some great things coming up in her direction as well. Please go check out her channel. Also, there's another platform out there that's out there doing big things. Grief Tribe Man, Mike MC, another men's mental health group. Let's see if you guys are.
Need a hand of hope. Keep an eye out for the nonprofit Need a Hand of Hope.
Yes. Make sure that you guys check them out as well. If you guys ever want to support, and and do things like that. And of course, if you guys would like to support members of us as well, and would like to donate to help us keep going and keep doing the things that we do, but we're not asking for anything. And if you guys like these conversations that we have, I know this is not the norm, but this is our Talk About It Wednesday episodes, and we get to talk about whatever our guests would like to talk about. And so if you guys like conversations like this, please do me a favor, head over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We try to get these subscribers up there, right? Because the more people that subscribe, the bigger audience that we have, and the more of the message that we can get out to individuals. So it don't cost you nothing to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about it. But also, if you know someone who can benefit from the conversations that we have, or if you have a topic that you would like to see us discuss, please let us know. I am Tony Lynch, LC, my brother, thank you again for another great conversation. And of course, you guys are going to see more and more of him as we begin to go. The goal is to get these messages out there to let you know what's going on and keep you up to date on the news and what's happening and the who's who and what we're doing. I am Tony Lynch. This is going to conclude another episode of Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. Let's talk about it Wednesdays. And until next time, you guys keep your head up. LC, I love you, brother. You know what I'm saying? And we'll talk soon. Till next episode. Peace.